You're dialed in to the Dawg Pound Podcast, your weekly shot of Cleveland Browns recaps, reactions, and rants with your hosts, Jon Drake and Chris Aiken.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 2 of the Dawg Pound Podcast. I am Jon Drake. With me is my vaunted, esteemed co-host, Mr. Chris Aiken. A little under the weather, huh?
A little bit, but I'm drinking beer, so that's the elixir that I need.
And there's me with my completely queer Diet Stewart's root beer. So
well,
more hardcore than me.
The completely queer part is right.
Exactly.
Especially with what you're about to spew here on the Dawg Pound Podcast here.
Well, no, I have a legitimate reason, and I don't think you'll completely disagree with it. I mean, I won't get into that right away because I'd like to point something out. I would like to point out, for anybody who's seen the Cleveland Browns Hard Knocks episodes, you might agree with this, how prescient Todd Haley was during it was like the second or third episode or something, when he said, "Way to go, you effing kicker," and he was being funny, but I believe he was right, because all of us in Cleveland yesterday were saying, "Way to go, you effing kicker."
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, dude, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this tonight, whenever people are listening, let's at least briefly recap the game, I guess. Is that what we're calling it? The disaster, the debacle that was yesterday. Yesterday, what was the final? 21-18?
21-18, yeah.
21-18, we lost to the Saints.
The Browns led for all but 2.5 minutes of the game.
And left, what did we leave, 8 points on the table? 6 points from the kicker alone?
8 points, yeah. It was 8 points. It was 2 field goals and 2 extra points, and the only one you can really maybe give him a pass on is the last one, because it was over 50 yards, and you can never count those as like chip shots or whatnot. But 2 extra points from 33 yards, and then 2 field goals from like 42 yards. It's like, come on.
Yeah, no, it was a disaster. Once again, as I said last week, special teams disaster. And I know everybody could say it's all Zane Gonzalez. Fine, whatever. What team is he on? Special teams. So special teams, not good again. Punting was okay. Special teams play, very average. Saints seemed to start whenever we did have punts, they seemed to have decent returns most of the day. So special teams was lousy. Offense improved, I guess, from lousy to fair. And defense was, of course, good. Defense was once again was very strong.
No, I agree. And, with the special teams, Britton Colquitt, the punter, is actually doing his job. He had that one, lame duck punt against Pittsburgh. But, for the most part, he's been good.
Yeah.
Haven't been any shanks. He's not really punting it short, but the coverages aren't that great. And obviously, now ex-Browns kicker Zane Gonzalez, I misspoke a minute ago. He didn't miss two 40-yard field. Oh, yes, he did. It was a 40-yarder and a 42, 44-yarder, and then the 52 or 53-yarder. But yeah, I mean, he missed one against Pittsburgh and had another one blocked, and he missed, like I say, two PATs and 2 field goals in this one. And I hope nobody is surprised, because when they fired Chris Tabor after last year, he had survived like 3 regimes or something. The special teams weren't that bad with him.
Right.
I mean, they weren't. He had a couple seasons where they were really good, and then a couple that were But the guy they hired, I don't remember if it was exactly last year or the year before, but he had the worst special teams in the NFL. And so this is the guy they replaced Chris Tabor with. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in Brown's thought, I guess, is if you had experience, then you get hired, and it just seems to be simple as that. And it's probably because people don't want to come here. Let's just be honest. I mean, would you want to come here to coach? It's got to be the black hole of coaching. I mean, how do you represent yourself outside after your Browns time? If you're planning to go and be a coach till you're 75 years old, like most of these guys do, that big black spot on the resume, especially with a team that hasn't won a game, has won one game in 2 years, that's ugliness that on your future resume is going to be hard to overcome.
Yeah, but these assistant coaches, man, you've seen it. They get retread all the time, and
Sure.
It's like they say when they have these coaching openings, like head coaches, and people said last year, oh well, no one's going to want the Browns job, But then a lot of national guys point out, like, there's only 32 of these jobs available. So if you get offered one, unless you've got a much better offer, which, let's face it, if a team's looking for head coach, they're probably in the crapper.
Yeah.
You don't have that many great options. It's not like Bill Belichick is just handing the keys to the Patriots over to somebody, So,
dude,
I completely agree with you, but I just. And I mean, dude, they made it even worse today. If you ask me, they cut the kicker, and then they go sign some guy who's never kicked in the regular season. Like, you just lost 2 games. You could make an argument yesterday for sure, and potentially against Pittsburgh. You lost 2 games because of your kicker, your inexperienced kicker, and now you're going to go get an even less experienced kicker to replace him. Who in the hell made that decision?
Yeah, it was definitely a bad decision today, and goes to my bigger point that whoever's making player decisions is not doing their job, at least in season, because this is just a poor bringing in this kicker is just poor, dude. And this guy might be fine. From everything I went online and I tried to do as much research as I could on this guy that's never kicked in anything but a preseason game. And it does look like he had a pretty good camp, with the Dolphins. What's his name?
Yeah.
Greg Joseph?
Greg Joseph.
Yeah. It looks like he had a good camp, but looking at even his college, he wasn't that good in college.
It was like 69% or something.
Yeah, which, okay, that's marginally better than Zane Gonzalez.
No, that's almost exactly the same.
I mean,
so what are you doing?
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's clear Gonzalez had to go, though. I mean, you could tell. I don't know about you, but when he came in at the end of the game, I was 1,000% sure he was not making the kick. I had no thought in my mind at all that he was making the kick.
My first thought was this one's going wide right because he's going to overcompensate for pulling 5 to the left.
Yeah.
The 3 yesterday, the one that he missed against Pittsburgh was to the left, and when the kick got blocked, it was already heading to the left.
Yeah, and for God's and you were dead on. I mean, if he was kicking on a baseball field, he would have hit the first baseman. That's how far to the right it was, man. I mean, it was just an absolutely lousy kick.
But I know it was only like a couple seconds in the air, but I was at least hoping for one where you're like, oh, come on, get left, get inside the upright. But no, as soon as it left his foot, you're like, crap.
Dude, as soon as he came running on the field, I was going, oh, crap, because you could just see. Dude, I mean, honestly, and I watched it back again today. The joy of YouTube TV where it just records everything that you watch so that you can watch it back again.
Uh-huh.
So I was watching the Browns game back again today, and you could see after he missed the second extra point that he was done. They honestly should have had Colquitt out there kicking balls because Zane Gonzalez was done after that punt. And when he came out, he literally was head down and not looking up, not measuring, not doing the whole garbage that they do with their hands, like, trying whatever that nonsense is that they're trying to even up or whatever. And he swung his leg through like a guy cutting rice stalks or something in a field. It just it did not look like an NFL kick on any level. And of course he shanked it bad because he lost his confidence, and he had none. It was so in his head that it was a no doubter he was going to miss it, and boy, oh boy, did he miss it. Ugh.
Yeah, and it provided yet again, just like the Pittsburgh game, 2 weeks in a row, man, where these games you're like so up and then so down. I mean, like you said, the improvement's there, and it's obvious that it's there. If we're having discussions about, if the kicker would have made one field goal, we win. Mm-hmm. That's a market improvement,
right. And people are not giving any credit where credit is due. The Saints are widely regarded to be NFC champions / Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were playing some garbage team. Now, if they do the same thing against the Bills, then we're going to have a problem. Because, the Bills are so bad, their players are quitting at halftime. Like, literally quitting.
You talk about the Jets game coming up this week?
Yeah, I am talking. Well, I'm talking about if we play the Bills at all. What I'm saying is, did you see that Vontae Davis quit?
Yeah.
He retired at halftime because the Bills are so bad.
It's like, well, at least we never had that happen to us. So I guess, they out-Brownsed us.
We're number 30 this year instead of 30.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not the absolute worst. Nobody's quit mid-game yet. Although,
but no,
you might argue that Josh Gordon quit mid practice week or end of practice week.
We'll get to him, but the game, it was, we're holding serve against New Orleans on the road, and you just have that feeling where you're like, man, I kept saying all game long to Steph, my wife, I was like, man, we got to get touchdowns, not field goals. You can't come away with field goals against a team like this, especially, in their, on their home field. And so, that was a problem for me. And then, this up and down, I mean, they get the interception and they take the lead and you're just like, oh my God, this has happened again. Then all of a sudden, that bomb to Callaway was hilarious because they drop back, it's 4th and 5. And he just leans back to rifle. I'm like, why are you throwing a bomb on 4th and 5? I said, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't. Oh my God, he caught the bomb. It was like turning from this is what they're going to do, because the play calling was kind of suspect. I mean, I know they were going for the conservative thing yesterday, but it was kind of suspect in some areas yesterday. But when he caught that, I just went from the pits to like, oh my God, we're coming back again a second week in a row, and then Gonzalez comes out and misses the extra point. You're right back down in the gutter.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, it just sucks. But dude, I will say on the offensive side, and I was texting you all through the game, every single time they did it, they kept going over the middle, and every time they didn't do it enough. But every time they went over the middle yesterday, they gained good yardage, 15, 20 yards a catch. Every single time that they did it. They've got to do that more often. It's very clear that Jarvis and Callaway can run in space.
Oh, yeah.
Get them the ball 10 yards down the field in the middle. See, the whole game now is and this is what they're not taking advantage of, and this is Todd Haley being garbage right now. The game is set up that these guys aren't allowed to be tackled across the middle anymore. Every single time you see a player get nailed over the middle now, they're throwing a flag.
Yeah.
Every time. So throw the ball over the middle. Let them get hit. Let them take. If you don't want it to be your star, then don't run Landry over the middle. Run Higgins out there across the middle. He can't catch the ball worth a damn anyway, so at least he can get us 15 yards by getting hit with a helmet.
Are you thinking of Njoku? Because he had two more drops yesterday, if I remember.
Njoku sucks. Put that guy on the bench. Put Fells or whatever his name is out there. I don't care how stacked Njoku is as a physical specimen. Clearly, he's got more muscles than soft tissue in his hands because the guy can't catch. He can't catch. He couldn't catch last year, and he can't catch this year.
You know who we need at tight end, man? You got to bring him back. The legend. No, you got to bring back Devin Kajus.
Kajus, stop it. Just stop it. His dad would have a heart attack and die if his phone even rang. Come on.
He gets that call.
He's not getting that call. Is he on even anybody's practice squad?
I don't think so, unfortunately.
Or could I go meet him at the airport?
Meet him at the airport.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, while you're getting my bags, would you sign my Browns ticket?
Exactly. Yeah, The going over the middle thing is something we talked about last week, and you were right, and we were right. We said like the chances are there. Yeah. I mean, you finally have receivers that are getting separation, and why Tyrod? And again, this has been a knock on him. Why he doesn't like to pull the trigger on those, and people. I heard people talking about it a lot on the radio today. That's why he doesn't have a lot of turnovers, because he doesn't take those types of chances. But to be fair, his interception yesterday came on taking one of those chances because he pushed it down the field when the safety was obviously jumping the route. I mean, that was a very ill-advised throw on his part. Mm-hmm. But, you and I both agree, and especially considering that, teams are obviously queuing on our run game, and because they know we're not going to be, throwing it more than 5 yards down the field, they don't have to drop people back as far in coverage.
Well, think of it this way, dude. And don't think of Taylor. Just if we had quarterback X, whoever the quarterback is, if our quarterback had 3,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 20 picks, would you be okay with that for the season?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So then Tyrod has what, 1 interception?
Yeah, 2.
2? Okay, that's 1 a game. That would be 16. Take some more chances. Take some more chances. If he takes some more chances, he's going to have more success than failure, because if he's a decent quarterback, I would say 30 to 20 is a decent quarterback, and 35, 40 to 20 is what the elite guys kind of do.
Yeah.
So if he was even decent, 30 to 20, I'll take those 20 turnovers for those 30 touchdowns.
Yeah.
All day long I'll take that, because we're going to be up, an average of 5 points a game. If you spread it out, I'll take those. Yeah. If we had 5 extra points in either the first 2 games, we're 2-0, and we're not talking about Baker needs to come in and they need to fire Haley and they need to fire Hue and they need to, do all these different things. The
knee-jerk reactions just kill me. I mean, and dude, it's like, to your point, the team has borne, it bears out in what you see on the field, what you just said about taking those chances, because in a way, both games kind of offensively played out the same way.
Yep.
Like nothing happened. They open the second half and they get a touchdown, and then nothing. All of a sudden, the game's in the balance, and they're like, oh, crap. Next thing you know, they're marching down the field for a touchdown. It's like when they start taking those chances, it's happened both games. It's a pattern. It's, so the talent and the ability to score that way are there. So your point is dead on.
Yeah.
And it's right there on the field. I mean, and to your point about the knee-jerk reactions about people fire this guy and do this, do that, and everything, like, bring Baker Mayfield, and like, I mean, obviously, I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, but that crap's got to stop.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it just has to.
Bringing Baker in right now would be a huge mistake, because the line is still not strong enough to protect him, and we don't need another shell-shocked guy. We just don't. We got the shell-shocked guy. He's playing. He's number what, 5? Is that his number?
6.
No, not Baker.
Oh, Tyrod.
Tyrod, number 5.
Yeah.
Let him take that beating until Harrison and Batonio gel. And they played better yesterday, I thought. I thought they played okay. There wasn't nearly as much pressure from the left side. They didn't have any of those stupid pre-snap penalties. Yeah.
I mean, that was good.
Yeah, they played much better. But until we have, I mean, you're never going to have no sacks in a game. Not in today's game. You're just not. But
yeah,
you've got to just kind of let the offense gel as a unit before you bring Baker out there. I know I don't know, but I assume what's going to happen is if they don't get the win on Thursday, that you're going to see Baker in Game 4. I would definitely bet a meal on that one. Because
I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger that fast. I hope they don't. I really hope they don't. And this is, people seem to forget this. The people that are calling for, I mean, it was all over the radio today. People are like, well, why can't we bring in Baker? Well, just go look at Kansas City, because that situation was John Dorsey's doing.
Yeah.
He had the veteran quarterback in Alex Smith. Yeah. He picked who he thought was the best quarterback in the draft, Patrick Mahomes, and he said, this guy's sitting for the entire season. We're not playing him.
Yeah.
And look what's happened. I mean, it was the best thing for him. And he's trying to do the exact same thing here with Baker Mayfield. Why would you not want that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. I don't want to see Baker at all this year.
By the way, since we're talking about it, this is a new segment we're going to do on the show. This is the Baker Mayfield Minute, sponsored by Bill Peters and the Metal on Metal show. No, I'm just kidding. Got to bust Bill a little bit for ripping on me last week. but anyway,
I'm going to tell you why I think they're going to go with Baker, dude. I agree with you fully. If it was me, I would not have Baker play at all this year. But the reason I think they're going to is because they have him as the number 2.
Yeah.
Just inactivate him. Drew Stanton's inactive. Then why are you paying him freaking veteran money?
Well, they brought him in just to be basically like they should have done with Josh McCown and DeShone Kizer last year. They have him as like a sounding board
right.
for Baker, so that while Baker's on the sideline and everything, he can talk to Stan and be like, see this. It's like teaching and learning as the game's going, which is, and that right there is why I want him to stay on the sidelines, because it's not like he's just sitting there watching, just going, what's happening. He's got somebody in his ear, or if he wants to ask a question, he's got somebody right there. So he's actually learning something while he's not playing.
But what I'm saying is the way they're setting it up is so that if anything happens, they can bring Baker in.
Totally.
Because if they truly weren't going to play him, they didn't activate him every game of the year, have Stanton as the backup, and have Baker standing there on the sideline learning.
Yeah. Well, it's a desperation move, dude. They drafted the guy first overall, and if Tyrod Taylor is not getting enough points on the board, because the way it seems like it's panning out so far is the defense is awesome.
The defense is really good.
The offense is just not holding up their end of the deal, and so they want Baker available to get wins because if they're saying, well, we're this close, and if we have better quarterback play, put us over the top, but also Hue wants to look good as someone who was part of, the decision to draft Baker, so he can say, well, see, now I'm winning, and look, I know what I'm talking about with quarterbacks. Like, it's to save his ass is what it is.
Well, he's not going to have that decision. He's toast.
No.
He's toast soon. Very soon. It's going to be Todd
hope
Haley
not.
or Williams. I hope so. And I don't. Go ahead. Go ahead and say why you think he should stay, because I'm ready to just destroy you on this.
That's fine. That's fine. But like I told you in text message, I don't think this is a homer comment, and I know everyone throws the word continuity around, and it's like, okay, I'm fine with that. 3 years at minimum. I'm a fan of that. But in this case, no. In this case, I would have been fine if they canned him after last year. If they canned him this week, I would understand it. My only argument for keeping him on is the fact that I don't think we've gotten an accurate representation of whether or not he can actually win, because and let me finish before you rip me, because but the roster that he had the last 2 years was so abysmal that other owners and GMs and stuff were telling the Haslams, you hang on to Hue, because there's nobody could win with it. You couldn't give this roster to Belichick and the guy couldn't win. So that's why they let go of Sashi Brown and not Hue, because everyone in the league is telling us that this is a problem from Sashi Brown, not from coaching. So now that you've eliminated that, the roster is obviously better. I think now we can get an honest grade on whether or not Hue can be successful. So to pull the plug after 4 games, you don't know. It could be a situation where they start out let's say, I don't know, 2-5-1, and that people would be screaming for him to get fired. Okay, but then what if in those last 8 games they go 6-2? So all of a sudden you got an 8-win team that won 6 of their last 8. That is exactly the progression that you want to see, and you got to let the team come together and see if you can make that happen. That's my only argument for it.
Hue has never.
So you can kill me all you want. I'm not saying.
Hue has never proven that he can win in the National Football League.
He was 8-8.
Yeah, that's not winning. That's not even playoff bound.
Did you see the Raider teams, how bad they were before he took over as coach that 1 year?
Wait a minute. Jack Del Rio had that team in the playoffs, didn't he?
No.
Yes, he did.
Jack Del Rio was after Hue Jackson.
Was he?
Yeah.
So then he took those players and made them better. Then he took Hue's team and made it better. Well, I win either way.
Okay, but how do we know Hue wouldn't have done the same thing a year later?
Dude.
He got fired because of a power struggle with the dumbass Davis family.
And he came here and he can't Dude, this is where this makes you sick to your stomach. Pat Shurmur had a better record than Hue Jackson. Than Hue.
Dude, look, I'm not going to defend it because every coach in NFL history has a better record than Hue does.
I'd rather see Pat Shurmur back here. I'd rather see Pat Shurmur come back than see Hue just sucking. Hue is terrible, man.
I just want to see what he can do with a good roster.
I don't.
And I'm not saying, okay, now that he has a good roster, now give him 3 years.
Because he's proven the things that he could control in these 3 years, he has not. He's proven to be a straight-up shitty manager, and yes, I'm swearing, shitty manager of time. He's awful with time. He did it how many times last year with the clock that he just blew clock management. And I know you don't agree, but the fact is when there's 8 seconds left and you've got a kicker with no confidence, you throw a 5-yard out, you make it, you don't, and you have 2 seconds left on the clock to kick the field goal.
No,
he did
because you know what happened? Time would expire, and then you'd be on here crucifying him tonight, going, "Oh, see, he didn't even give him a chance at a field goal." I mean, that's the problem with all these Hue haters. They're like, "Oh, should have run another play," but then if he did and time expired, "Oh, why don't you kick a field goal?" It's like, I can't win for losing.
Okay, then let's do it this way. Do you think that Bill Belichick would have thrown one more play?
No.
You don't think? You're crazy.
No.
You're insane.
And all the national guys were saying it too today. I read a ton of the national guys going, what are you going to do? I mean, if you look at what the Saints were doing, they were like 2 yards off of each sideline. You were not getting out of bounds. 8 seconds is not enough time. The only way that's enough time is if you can actually get a 20, 30-yard throw down the field and get some miracle touchdown. Otherwise, you're not getting out of bounds.
I disagree.
It wasn't going to happen.
Disagree. You only need 1 second left on that clock. You're going to tell me that you can't snap a ball, throw an immediate out on the sideline, and either catch it or not?
How's that going to happen?
What do you mean, how's it going to happen?
There's too many – okay, there's too many variables in play by making that decision.
Yeah, I agree. It's a risky call. It's a risky call. But you know what? Take the risk. Take the risk when your kicker has proven through the whole game that he can't make a kick.
But I'd at least like a chance at the kick. If you don't even get a chance at the kick, you don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I still think I would have taken the chance for 5 yards. I would have taken the chance.
I don't see what the difference is. I mean, you weren't going to get out of bounds, no matter what. They could have caught it and hit the ground and run up to the line, and time would have expired.
Yeah, because that's never happened before, that a guy catches a ball with like 1 second on the clock and then they kick the field goal. That never happens.
What team are we talking about here? You know exactly what would have happened if they ran another play.
Maybe so, but at least he would have been aggressive. He took the chicken's way out when he knew that guy wasn't going to make that field goal. Period. He knew it. There was no one thinking other than you that Zane Gonzalez was going to make that field goal. I would have read truthfully.
Okay, but you're saying now wait a minute. If you think he's not going to make it, isn't it the more aggressive play to send him out there anyway and pray for it? I mean, no, you're just crap.
I would have rather seen him throw a bomb, to be honest. I would have rather seen him take a shot in the end zone. If you're going to lose with some dignity.
My cousin actually made that point, and I'm like, dude, no coach is ever going to do that.
Well, I agree, especially one that's on the hot seat and just about to be fired. But you know what? Go out with a blaze of glory. You pulled off one of those, and certainly they wouldn't have been expecting it.
Yeah.
They sure weren't going to expect you to go down the middle in the end zone. Take a shot.
I just, and it sounds dumb to say it with a 2 second difference would make would be a big deal. But if you have like 10 or 11 seconds, then I think you can run another play. But because you at least have a little bit of time to let it develop. I mean, the problem with that, with the 8 seconds, is by the time you go through your reads and you throw it away, you're risking potentially being out of time, even if you just throw it away.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it because I was like, okay, it was I knew Gonzalez wasn't going to make it, but I was like, at least give us a chance to get points on this play. It's a field goal that has a higher percentage of going through than a Hail Mary. So
not yesterday.
Yeah, true. Everything's relative in this conversation.
Yeah, yesterday was 100% on the Hail Mary and 0% on the ball from a foot. I would have taken the Hail Mary yesterday.
They should have kicked the Hail Marys, just send a guy run into the end zone and try and catch the guy's kick.
Yeah, except for they would have had to have 30 people on the field because they had no idea where it was going to go.
I know. Oh, my gosh.
Dude.
I can't believe we're talking about this again. It's like, and the looks on the guys' faces, like you could tell they're just like, what the hell, dude?
Dude.
I mean.
I wouldn't have let him on the plane. They should have got him a separate plane flight home.
I would have taken his bags, too, so he couldn't even get a goddamn rental car.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're walking, punk.
Yeah, throwing that shit in the street. Here. Give this to the homeless in New Orleans. Dude, it was awful. But to your point about continuity, Hue's got to go. The continuity is of losing. They continuously do that. That's what they continuously do. I'm all for continuity when there's improvement showing. There's not improvement showing. There's improvement.
Okay, but now
there's not.
Sorry to cut you off, but you just said that there is improvement showing these two games. So
yeah, there's improvement on the field, but there's not improvement in what matters. Dude, is yesterday's 3-point loss any more gratifying than a 52-point loss? Not to me.
Yeah.
No. It's garbage.
I don't want to lose by 52. That means you have no hope for anything.
It's garbage. It's still garbage. Dude,
I get where you're coming from.
Dude,
this is the homer in me, but I just
you have a trash man that comes to your house, picks up your trash every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he shows up at 6 o'clock in the morning, is that any better than if he shows up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
I see your point, but
it's the same. The same.
Again, I'm not saying I want to keep Hue. I'm just saying that I'm fine with them going. I'm fine with them staying.
I'm fine with
only
them
for
going.
This year, I should say, if he's staying. Because if they blow again, and it's because right now, let's be honest, he's out of excuses because the team's obviously better. Like you can legitimately, at least now, there isn't that stigma of, well, the roster's so bad, they don't have a chance.
But you know what? There is a stigma of. There is a stigma of the guy at the top does not know how to coach his players or coach his coaches on how to finish the job. He doesn't know how to do it. He can't do it. He brought in Todd Haley, who last year was, 1 or 2 or 3 in offense. The Steelers were that good in offense, and we're doing under 20 points a game. That's garbage, man. And this is a guy that knows how to coach 40 points a game. Has proven for years. Now, he had better talent, but not that much better to where there's a 20-point difference in offensive talent. There's just not.
Well, in defense of that, it was reported that because people mentioned that and they said, well, his first year or two in Pittsburgh, they were pretty down the rankings in offense. It took him a year or two to get that system ingrained in everybody. And so I'll be interested to see if he's the offensive coordinator next year. Because if he's still here, because who knows, maybe he'll pull a Shanahan, be like, get me out of here. Maybe he's the head coach. Who knows? But look what happened with Greg Williams' defense. Like last year, we thought, man, I thought the defense would be better. And now this year, we're seeing what we thought we were going to see last year because why? It's the second year of the same system. So I'm wondering if this is they're getting used to it. The players are getting into it. So, who knows? Yeah. Maybe next year
But
I don't know.
Here's the problem with that theory. The coach has to get these guys ready to go, and he's not doing it. And clearly the offense is not on the same page as what they're allegedly being coached up to do. And if they were, then why again can we talk about the absolute lack of running game in a game where we needed to keep Drew Brees off the field?
Well, it's that dink and dunk. They were purposely calling the game conservatively to eat clock and keep Drew Brees off the field. So it was that damn dink and dunk. And like we said a few minutes ago, when you're dinking and dunking, the corners and the safeties can come closer up to the line of scrimmage, and it takes away your ability to run as well.
Now,
so
is Nick Chubb any better with the 5 carries he's had from the season so far?
I cannot follow their logic there. And Duke Johnson, they're not.
Yeah, did you
all
not
you have to do is look at what they're doing with Alvin Kamara yesterday.
Exactly
that should be Duke Johnson.
That's exactly it. That Duke Johnson and Alvin Kamara are the same player. In fact, to be honest, Duke probably has a little bit more skill than Alvin Kamara does.
He's a better receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah, and nothing. What did he do yesterday? Couple of catches,
5 touches or something.
Yeah, a couple of catches, 1 or 2 runs. It's embarrassing, dude. It's not. If it's Tyrod, then they're not coaching Tyrod upright. That again falls on Todd Haley, and it comes from the coach not busting Todd Haley's ass and saying, "Hey, our running backs need 25 carries." That's got to happen. Yesterday was the kind of a possession game where you run the freaking ball.
Yeah.
They should have been running the ball. Dink and dunk my ass. Throw the ball after you've established the run or established the pass and then use the run to keep them out of the box. Dude, you were watching the same game I was at the end of it when why did they have the 30-yard pass and then follow it up with the Hail Mary? Because the Saints stacked the box because they knew that they couldn't run the ball. So they stacked inside and just left it one-on-one with the receivers and they dared them to beat them. And for the first time, Tyrod actually did.
Yeah.
At least on one drive.
Believe me, I agree. I I personally, Bernie Kosar had a statement in one of his interviews years ago, and he's, I completely subscribe to it. Is, he says, I believe in offensive offense. You're trying to score on every play. You're trying to push the ball downfield as far as you can. And why they can't just do that. I mean, and I understand why they were playing conservative, keep Drew Brees off the field, this, that, and the other. But it's like, you know what? How about you go out there and just punch him in the mouth? Just go for it. Like you said, I mean, make the aggressive calls. Like take the shots, because then it stretches out the field. And it just seems like sometimes these coaches try and outsmart themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
even a guy with a track record like Todd Haley, it's like, okay, well, you got to stretch these guys out.
Yeah.
They gave up 48 points last week, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that it's not like they were playing a Super Bowl caliber defense. They were playing a fairly lousy defense. And who'd they play the week before? Tampa, right? They played Tampa. Now, Tampa's not exactly a juggernaut, although they look pretty good. They look pretty good right now, but nobody's thinking that Tampa Bay is going to be a Super Bowl contender. And the Saints got smoked by 55-year-old Ryan Fitzpatrick. Take a shot. Put it down the field. Callaway is fast. He can get open. Jarvis Landry is pretty quick, but he does seem to have quick enough feet to at least get open in the 15 to 20-yard range.
Oh, he's a very precise route runner, and the guy has hands of glue.
Yeah, I mean, throw that out there and get some of those plays. Stop with the 4th or 3rd and 9, and you're throwing a 2-yard pass to Duke Johnson. Just stop it. Just hand him the ball on 3rd down then.
Man, did that drive you as nuts as it did me on the very first offensive possession, where it was
like 3rd and 8
3rd
or
and 2,
yeah.
and 3rd and 4, I think it was.
Yeah. And
they pitched the ball to Duke 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I'm like, why are you throwing it that deep?
Yeah.
I'm like, that is who comes up with this crap? Like, I was just infuriated. I'm like, and then it just kept up like that. These dumb play calls. I'm like, what is going on?
Well, and that goes on to the coach. The coach is allowing that to happen. And this is why I think Hue's got to go. The position coaches and the players do not fear Hue. They're his buddy. They don't fear him. They don't fear that they're going to lose their gig if they don't play to the expectation. Todd Haley's not afraid of Hue Jackson. If he wasn't, Josh Gordon wouldn't have played play 1 of last week's game.
Yeah.
He's not afraid of him. He's like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and screw you if you don't like it.
I mean, do you think that the Josh Gordon decision basically is a way for them to kind of, Hue to somewhat put his foot down and say, look, I mean, this guy is the ultimate example of getting away with murder, not literally, but, and now we're like, all right, you're out of here. I mean, do you think that's a move designed to send a message to the team about accountability?
Maybe, but if it is, it's a bad move, because for God's sakes, you literally jeopardized the whole week's game plan because he showed up late for practice and was acting like a goofball? Nobody's saying that he failed a drug test.
Yeah, I want to know what that whole he wasn't himself
nobody
was.
But he was eligible to play yesterday. Forget anything else, whatever the problem was. He was eligible to play yesterday. They didn't trade him until today. Put his ass out there because he was part of the game plan. And then on Monday you can cut him. What was so important that you had to now, without any prep, without any work together, you had to move Callaway into the 1, or Jarvis into the 1 and Callaway into the 2, and then put what's his name, Higgins, in the slot.
Higgins.
Yeah, I mean, what was the point of changing the whole gameplay 12 hours before the game? The whole game plan. I mean,
well, there's a lot of reports that I've started to see coming out that say that the hamstring injury. He couldn't go, so they inactivated him. But now they're like, the reports I'm seeing are saying that people are starting to think that he just kind of dogged it on purpose to get the hell out of here. And I mean, I don't know if you saw the report after we traded him, that he passed his physical or something, and he's eligible to play this weekend for New England. Oh. When he was out because of this for us, but all of a sudden he's fine. He can play this weekend.
Good for them.
I mean,
Belichick won't put up with his nonsense. That's for sure.
No.
He may go on to have a Randy Moss-like year, but, whatever. God bless him, and see you later, and don't ever come back to our town, you piece of shit.
Yeah, that guy, I'm glad he's gone because I'm so sick and tired of hearing all of the, oh, poor Josh Gordon, and I hope he gets his No, you're a moron, dude. You've had every opportunity to make, a freaking 9-figure income.
Yeah.
And you're just a moron. Like I don't feel bad for this guy. Oh, he's an addict, this, that, and the other. Okay, fine. But he's also an addict that has a means to an end to be able to get help that other people just can't afford or be in a position to get. And not only that, now he's got kids to take care of, and he's dogging out on paternity tests and avoiding this and avoiding that. He's a punk. So get the hell out.
Yeah.
I mean, he got his ass kissed the whole time he was here. The NFL's giving him chances. This team stood by him. And, no, fine, get out of here.
Yep.
And, people that are all mad that we lost him, we hated him, we did this. And it's like, he hasn't been here anyway. What are you losing?
Yeah. He hasn't been good in, 5 years? Was 13 the year that he was real good?
I think so, yeah.
So 13. 5 years ago, he was good. People forget that when he did come back, in 15 or whatever year it was, he wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been good in 5 years.
He dogs it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Everything that people were saying was that, Haley was all over him in practice this week. He wasn't running the right routes, and he was just going half speed, and he's just a punk, man.
Yeah. I mean, people
it's
can say
enough.
People can say what they want about Dez Bryant, but you know what? Nobody's ever accused Dez of dogging it. They've accused him of being a social media whore, and they've accused him of
idiot on the sideline, a diva,
bad hands and whatever. But nobody's ever accused him of not trying. So I saw they signed what's his name, Rod Streeter from San Francisco. I think he was with.
I can't
to fill the spot.
I know the name, but I don't remember where he was from.
Yeah, they signed him to fill the spot, but that's not a permanent fix. That's a today fix, I would imagine.
I don't think they even really need that big of a fix. I mean, Higgins, had an awesome rapport with Baker Mayfield in the preseason, and he's proven he's one of those guys they drafted, and then in their third year they start improving and getting better, and you could see that in him.
Yeah.
And you got Landry and Callaway. Callaway's got incredible talent. We saw it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
yeah, they're okay. They're okay. Tell you what, they need to go find themselves a tight end. Jesus.
I don't know what's with that guy's hands, man. It's come on. You have to hold on to that football.
Well, and not only that, he can't block either. He's not a good blocker either. You saw the one play where Taylor had to make a trap block, right? It's because Njoku didn't.
Yep.
It's like, dude, make the play. You jag off.
Did you hold back a curse?
I'm trying. I know I'm swearing a little bit, but my God.
Yeah.
Njoku drives me nuts because he reminds me of Josh Gordon without the drug problem. The guy has incredible talent that just isn't harnessing it. And I don't know what it is, but he doesn't seem to be able to focus play to play. Some plays he makes are incredibly good. Sometimes he makes some great plays. But most times, average plays, he's fumbling around. Even when he catches it, he doesn't catch it smooth. He's fumbling around with the ball. And it's like, dude, you're in the NFL now, my friend. Play the game hard. Everything counts. Every catch counts. Every yard counts. So make your catches. Stop being a bum.
Yeah, that was to see him put another couple of balls on the ground yesterday. I was like, man, really? Come on, dude. Like like you said, it's all this talent, but then you don't really see anything. You haven't really seen anything from it because he doesn't catch the ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this is frustrating because that's a guy like in the red zone. You get anywhere inside the 20, you could just throw that fade up in the corner to him, and it's, Yeah,
nobody's big enough.
Who's going to defend that?
Yeah, dude, at this point, I'm ready to put Nick Chubb out there. At least he's big and can hit somebody and might catch the ball, and we're not doing anything else with him.
I do not understand that. If you're trying to establish the run we said this last week. He and Carlos Hyde are the same size.
Yeah.
So to take one out, put the other in is like putting, at least size-wise, putting the same guy in there.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I mean, why aren't you utilizing that as a benefit in your offense?
you have 3 running backs and not 25 carries between them. That's garbage, man. You got 3 type A running backs, and you had, what did they have yesterday? 15 total carries?
It was something. It was less than 20, if I remember right.
But that's between 3. That's Hyde, Chubb, and Duke. 15 carries or something like that. Unacceptable, man. Unacceptable unless you have a quarterback like what Roethlisberger throw yesterday, 65 passes or something. He threw some crazy number of passes yesterday. So, of course, that Connor guy had like 17 yards of rushing.
He came back to earth, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Well, of course he did. But again, they took all of his, they took 20 plays and gave them to Roethlisberger to throw the ball. And that's what should happen is, okay, if Tyrod had 50 passes, then I'd be okay with 15. I wouldn't be okay with it. They need a better balance with the talent level that we have. But
yeah, at
least it would make sense that there's 50 with the pass game and 15 with the run game. Instead, you had 20. What Tyrod have yesterday? 25, 26 passes?
No, he was
30 maybe. Wasn't some big number.
22 for 30.
Yeah, so it wasn't
246, a touchdown and a pick.
So what do we have? 45 total offensive plays?
God, that doesn't seem like a lot, does it?
That's terrible. Well, if the running backs had 15 carries, that means that there was 45 offensive plays.
Wow. It has. They must have had more carries than that. I guess we were wrong on the total carries, but yeah, no, I mean I agree. When you've got, see, it always seems to work out this way, doesn't it? You go in the preseason and you see the roster and you're like, okay, here's a strength, here's a strength, here's a strength, and it just seems like it never gets utilized that way.
Well, it's because it's been a problem here since 1999. We continually, with the exception of Chudzinski and Mangini, I will say those two did not do this. Everybody else tries to out-cute the other coach.
I hate that crap, don't you?
But they all do it. The only two that didn't were the two. One, Mangini just decided he was going to run the ball every time he could run the ball. He just understood that he didn't have a quarterback. So remember, that was the year of the Wildcat and everything else. I mean, it was anything anything he could do not to put the ball in the air. Didn't he have one game where we had like 6 passes or something in a game?
Something crazy.
It was some stupid number like that in the Mangini era. And Chudzinski, I always thought, was not smart enough to try and out-cute guys, so he just played to whatever talent he had on the field. But
I was so pissed when they fired him after 1 year.
No, he didn't.
It's like the guy finally understands offense, and we were doing something offensively. Like let's give him another year, see if maybe a system that he's got going on maybe can do something. I don't know, but
well,
I mean, 1 year, just what are you going to learn in a year?
He had more wins in his 1 year than Hue has in 2.5.
I know. It's so sad,
dude.
Man.
I mean, when you think about some of the garbage names that we have had that have coached this team and have more wins than Hue. Pat Shurmur,
awful.
Chudzinski, Romeo Crennel. Romeo Crennel had 10 in a year, didn't he?
Yeah, his first year was 10-6.
Yeah, and he was such a good coach that no one else has. Well, what? Didn't he coach the Chiefs for a minute?
Yeah, he went.
But he's
I think it was the Chiefs after that.
But now he's like a coordinator again because he's not really good enough to be a head coach. Yeah. We've had all of these guys. Mangini, isn't Mangini in the booth now?
Yeah,
And I don't think he came back and went to San Francisco for a year or two, and then as a coordinator, and then just decided to be in the booth.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, the only one has any of them come back to be a coach? Well, Shermer's a coach somewhere, isn't he?
He's the Giants coach right now.
Yeah. And boy, they're doing wonders.
Well, what do you expect? Dude, I'll never forget when that guy got hired. I hated every day of that guy's tenure because when they hired him, I went, who in God's name is this guy?
Right.
I mean, and there were some, I can't remember the names now, but there were some name guys that actually had somewhat of a track record, at least as a coordinator and all this other stuff. Shermer hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those Mike Holmgren stupid things where he's like, yeah, it's my buddy Pat.
Yeah.
I know his Uncle Fritz. So
Yeah, right.
it's like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You just knew you were doomed right there.
Of course. Yeah, Shermer was really bad. Some of the stuff he used to say, as much as I hated that morning show that 92.3 used to have, Booms.
Oh, Kylie and Booms.
Kylie
oh my
and
God,
Booms.
were they terrible?
They were terrible, but they were so right when they would talk about, when they would play clips of Shermer just saying stupid things.
He
We lost the game because we didn't score as many points as the other team. No kidding.
One of my favorite memories from the Holmgren era was I was down in the Muni lot tailgating one day, and this guy was selling like long sleeve thermal T-shirts.
Right.
And that Andre the Giant, like that artwork that what I'm talking about, like that famous Andre the Giant picture that goes on everything, whatever. Like they had that, but it was Holmgren's face and it said hope. And I bought one in brown and one in orange. I was like, yeah, because Mike Holmgren's really good, so we're totally gonna turn it around.
Yeah, boy, that worked out well.
I think I still have the orange one somewhere.
Oh my God.
And I just look at it and I go, oh, you stupid asshole.
You should wear that to the games. You should wear that Thursday.
That thing would go viral in a second, man.
Dude, well then wear it.
Oh, it's so classic.
Write
dogpoundpodcast.com
on the bottom of it and wear that sucker.
If I could find it. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, let's get off of that because that's depressing. At least there's some good stuff about the Browns yesterday. I mean, the Myles Garrett effect, even though it wasn't felt in the stat line, was definitely felt on the defense anyway because him being double teamed sure opened up Larry Ogunjobi. Yeah,
he played well. I thought Myles played pretty well. I don't know how close you watched him play yesterday, but I don't think he had a single snap where he didn't have two guys on him.
Oh yeah, they were all over him.
They were all over him, but he was still pretty good. I mean, it seemed like he was, even especially on the run, which he's not necessarily known for being such a good run defender. He really was forcing everything kind of inside of him. Kamara had a bunch of yards yesterday, or not that many, I don't think. But
no, not really. I don't think it was even 50. Wasn't it like 46 or something
like that? But the big plays that he had were all inside the tackles, and that was inside the ends. I mean, and that was in large part because Myles Garrett secured his end. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was excellent for Garrett, and then we had the 3 sacks. What did we have, 3 total, or just 3 from?
It was 3 total. It was 2 by Ogunjobi. The one was called back with that horrific illegal contact on Kindred. But yeah, the other one was it was that 11-yard sack when they were driving late in the game, and it was it T.J. Carey that
38. Whatever.
Yeah, it was that bull rush blitz from the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the defense as a whole played extremely well. I thought Myles Garrett played extremely well. I'll be honest, considering how good Michael Thomas is, and boy, is he a good player. Jeez, oh man, is he good. And he fumbles a little bit, but I guess you can live with that when you're making 15 catches a game.
He said he's got like 27 now through 2 games.
Yeah, ridiculous. I mean, he's a player, man. He really looks like, and just the footwork that he had on that touchdown was awesome. I don't know if you saw that where he kind of tiptoed it in, but he was off balance. And Michael Thomas is a good player, and even though he had a bunch of catches, I still thought Denzel Ward played a pretty good game yesterday.
He was on him again. He again, Ward didn't get burned. Yeah. And he held him under 100 yards. I mean, he had 89 yards and 2 touchdowns, and it was something like 12 catches or 10 catches or something.
So
but
that's not bad, and no long touchdowns.
No,
So
no, they were both short ones.
Yeah, I thought that they played the defense as a whole is playoff caliber. Unfortunately, the offense as a whole is high school caliber, so it's it kind of plays out to not being good yet. But
yeah, I'm so interested to see how it comes together as the season progresses. I mean, yesterday, it's such a bullcrap loss, but at least I got what I wanted to see out of it. As I said last week, I want to see progression from week to week, and the offense was better than they were the week before. And again, you're starting to see something with them again. Talking about a pattern. I know it's only 2 games, but they didn't quit. They came back again in the late in the fourth quarter. So you have a team, and I'm gonna say this, dude. And again, call me a homer. That's fine. But I just have this feeling with these guys that if they rip off a win, like when they finally get that win, this feels like a team that is going to rip off a few in a row. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this Thursday is as good a time as any to start because you got the Jets on Thursday night, then you have the long break because you're not playing over the weekend, and then you play the Raiders, who are and then you have Baltimore at home, and Baltimore, Flacco has our number, but they are not great by any means. No. I don't see why that's not a game that you can potentially win. I mean, as you look at the upcoming schedule, I mean, we legitimately could be talking about a team, if they can get it together offensively, to not do this, okay, we're going to just fart around for 3.5 quarters and then try and put 2 touchdowns up in the last 6 minutes. If they can get away from that and actually get a lead, I mean, in 3 weeks, we could be talking about a team that's 3-1-1.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, you just don't know.
So make your prediction because we're running out of time. But make your prediction on the Jets game Thursday.
Browns 27, Jets 17.
Wow. I don't see. I think the Browns are going to win as well. I think this is the game, and I don't think it's even going to be close. I think it's going to be like 35-7. I think the Browns are going to be out to make a statement at home, after this ugly game this week. And I also think that Darnold is, because he's in New York, is getting a lot of media love, but looking at his stats, he has not been that great. He's been okay, but he hasn't been great, and he has not played as good of a defense as he's going to play, and that's weird to say all by itself, but he has not played a defense as good as this team, and I think this team's going to eat him up. I think this is going to be a big win for us, and I'm saying 35-7.
I would love it. I just think that the Browns aren't in a position to smack somebody in the mouth like that just yet, and I think a 10-point win is, given that they're on their home field and they've been so close the last 2 weeks, they are hungry. I just don't see a blowout. But 10 points, I could see that. Hell, for us, that is a blowout.
Look, for us, 1 point is a blowout at this point.
Exactly.
But I'm just thinking they're going to win in a big way to really make a statement. And boy, would it make a big statement with all the national guys that just love to suck off the New York teams have to just eat crow that the first loss or the first win in 2 years comes at the hands of a New York team. Boy, will that
we had him last year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember, we had him last year, and then Kaiser just imploded. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's there for the taking, man. And I really think that, if the progression continues, and they were better this week than they were last week, you're playing a much lesser opponent than Pittsburgh or New Orleans. You take another step forward. This is definitely such a winnable game. I'm just always with the Browns anymore. You just never know.
Yeah.
So I can't. If you would have told me, they're going to lose because their kicker's going to leave 8 points on the field, you'd be like, bull crap. But it happened.
Right.
It always happens to us. So until they can get off the schneid, and not just one win here and there and go, like 2-14 or something. I'm talking about like you could see a few wins in a season. It gets back to some normalcy.
Right.
I'm just always going to think that something's coming to bite us in the ass. So
right.
Like I said, I'm that old tired dog that's just waiting for the beating again. Like, all right, get the stick. Like,
nice.
So awesome. Well, very cool, man. Hope you feel better.
Yeah. Thanks
for everybody tuning in last week. And this week, we appreciate you. Don't forget you can leave us a voicemail, 216-503-6404. I've actually had a bunch of people ask me about that. So
there you go.
I've actually had people ask if they could call in and talk live.
No.
So, yeah. I said, we don't have the capability.
Well, we do. So. We're just not going to do it. How about that? We have the capability. We're just not going to do it.
I was going to let you say that so I didn't have to. But
I'll say it. Yeah. Start your own podcast, stupid. I'll say you can talk all you want.
There you go. It's cheap. It's easy to do a podcast if our
Exactly.
dumbasses are doing one
Exactly.
or several. So, all right, man. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Let's do it this week, Brownies. Getting tired of this losing thing and this weird, heartbreaking losing thing. So, Chris says 35-7. I say 27-17. And I will be in the Dawg Pound representing this Thursday. My buddy, again, does not want to go, so I'm going to the Thursday Nighter. And I will be down there singing the song. So until next time, here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Ooh, ooh.
Thanks for listening to the Dawg Pound Podcast. Be part of the next edition by sending your thoughts to Woof, that's WOOF, at dogpoundpodcast.com or by calling us at 216-503-6404. See you next time, and go Browns!